Every major dominant global superpower in human history shares one single, unavoidable trait. Eventually, they all turn to dust. But their reigns always come to an end. To understand why, you have to rewind the clock. You have to look at these states at the absolute height of their power and wealth. Looking at this 1811 map of the world, we see the immense geographic scale these empires achieved. Their borders stretched across entire continents, securing global trade routes and silencing foreign rivals. This massive Roman Colosseum, standing against the sunset, is a physical monument to that supreme confidence. They built colossal architecture to project eternal strength. Reaching that absolute zenith creates a powerful psychological trap. The leaders and the citizens look at their sprawling borders and immense wealth, and they begin to assume their dominance is permanent. If a civilization possesses total military superiority and effectively limitless capital, why is their survival rate exactly 0? This diagram maps a life cycle repeated for millennia. Every empire moves from rise to peak into internal decline and collapse. As we enter internal decline, notice the borders fracturing. Maintaining a massive perimeter eventually exceeds the resources to defend it. An invading army almost never destroys a healthy nation. External enemies simply push over a structure that has already rotted from the inside out. Looking down into the ruins of the Roman Forum, we see the ancient seat of power. The lethal damage doesn't originate at distant borders. It starts right here, in the capital city. The first symptom is always political. Factions within the government stop seeing each other as rivals and start treating each other as enemies. The shared cultural reality uniting citizens completely dissolves. That political fracture accelerates an economic one. The ruling class hoards the nation's wealth, insulating themselves behind palace walls, while the foundational working class faces inflation and starvation. The entire system stops serving the people. When leaders begin using the state apparatus purely for their own enrichment and self-preservation, institutional corruption reaches critical mass. The survival of the state itself is no longer the priority. Once trust between the rulers and the ruled is severed, sovereign power becomes a fragile illusion. The empire looks strong, but a fatal hidden weakness has set in. That internal fragility cannot be hidden. Rival nations and border populations observe the economic strain and the political chaos within the capital. They sense the vulnerability and actively test the perimeter, probing for weak points in the defense. This triggers a rapid, cascading failure. The military overextends to defend the massive borders, logistical supply lines break down, and the nation drains its remaining treasury on unwinnable foreign conflicts. And ultimately, the mounting pressure becomes completely terminal. Once the military perimeter failed, the destruction is violent and immediate. Invaders breach the capital, and the physical architecture of the state tears itself apart. Within days, complex systems shut down. National currency loses all value, food supply chains halt, and local law enforcement completely evaporates. Staring at these crumbling stone walls, we see the end result of this imbalance. It takes centuries of unseen decay to build conditions for an overnight, catastrophic loss of civilization. This sequence is not a relic of the ancient world. It is a recurring rhythm driven by the same human impulses that built and destroyed Rome. Looking over the Palace of Westminster and Big Ben, we see the center of the British Empire, a global power that followed the same trajectory of massive expansion followed by a sharp, inevitable contraction. The internal decline phase is almost fully realized. History does not simply repeat itself. Instead, it offers a blueprint for survival, a warning meant only for those willing to recognize the symptoms before the collapse begins.